Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Thomas Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry, from tech companies that enable wineries to run at optimum efficiency, to today's guest, Ryan Thompson, founder of 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits. Past guests of Legends Behind the Craft include Yuan Ji of erstwhile Mezcal, Josh Jacobs of Speakeasy Co., and Michael Houlihan, founder of Barefoot Wines. If you haven't listened to those yet, be sure to check them out and subscribe. Today's episode is sponsored by Barrels Ahead. At Barrels Ahead, we work with you to implement a one-of-a-kind marketing strategy, one that highlights your authenticity, tells your story, and connects you with your ideal customers. In short, we help wineries and craft beverage producers unlock their story to unleash their revenue. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. I'm super excited to talk to Ryan Thompson. He's the founder of the 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits Co. Ryan founded 10th Mountain in 2013 in his hometown of Vail, Colorado. And at the time, the craft brewery movement was going full tilt. And Ryan figured it was only a matter of time until someone opened up a craft distillery. So he figured it might as well be him. Well, almost 10 years later, his hunch was correct. In 2021, 10th Mountain was awarded the Craft Distillery of the Year. Today, the whiskey is distributed in 15 states through the three-tier system and is available for sale directly to the consumer to over 30 states through Speakeasy Co.'s D2C platform. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate having me on, man. Excited to chat with you tonight.
Yeah, excited to have you on. So tell me about it. So you had a hunch, craft distilleries, Vail, Colorado. How did you get from a hunch to your first bottle?
It's a pretty straight story because when I moved to Vail in 1998, I bartended around town for 4 years. It was before the whole mixology scene. We were making Jack and Cokes and vodka tonics, and that was about as most of the people had called for at that point. And then the mixology scene started a little bit later in 2007, 2008. But then I started a restaurant in Vail in 2002 called the West Side Cafe. Still partners with that, granted at an arm's length distance because of all of the tax and trade bureau laws and whatnot. So, but still partners with that with the restaurant. So 20 years later now, but was watching what the craft distillery movement was doing. Homebrewed quite a bit just as a hobbyist, having fun with different brewing different beers at home. Okay. And then distilling is one step after that. And so I thought, why not? Let's get into distilling a little bit, and wanted to make an actual business out of it. So started getting real serious about it in 2012 or so. Went to Moonshine University in 2013. It's a well-known school at this point, out of Louisville, Kentucky. Great group out there.
How does that work? How does the
Moonshine University has a full distilling license, and you can go there and get a hands-on distilling experience with their 250-gallon still, their 250-gallon system. And they cover everything from A to Z, from chemistry, from distilling, to marketing, to accounting, the whole thing. It's a great group. And so I got my kind of dipped my big toe in the water there. Came back and wrote a business plan and begged, borrowed, and stealed, and here I am today, 10 years later or so.
Oh, that's fantastic. So as far as the distillery really sets you up for that, or that Moonshine University gives you like just the full playbook to.
Yeah, and they've only developed their courses ever since. They've been great. We still lean on them on occasion when we have a random something or other come up. Sure. And so we lean on them on occasion still, but one of the biggest values that I got from the course is the connections and the relationships that we had built. We sent our head distiller out to the course, and we've since have built a great connection with one of the instructors there, a guy named Pete Gamer, who has been in the distilling business for 45, 50 years at this point. So, and so we still lean on them on occasion. We started distilling a brandy 2 years ago, and we really didn't know what we were doing, but we had an opportunity to get 3,500 gallons of Pinot Noir from Monterey Valley,
Oh, nice.
from Smith Family Vineyards. in Monterey, and so we're friends with them, and so they reached out to us and asked if we wanted to distill 3,500 gallons of Pinot Noir at a 14% ABV at the time, and we're like, hell yeah, we'd love to,
Yeah.
but we don't know what the hell we're doing. So we called Pete, we called Moonshine University, we called our buddy Jason up in Salem, Oregon, who runs a brandy distillery up there. And so we just started putting the pieces together and distilled what we're very proud of it. But what people have told us is that it's an amazing brandy as well. So, and so the story continues with that. So it ties into maybe where your audience is more familiar is on the wine side. But Moonshine University helped, but we made brandy out of wine and are going from there. So,
oh, that's fantastic. There's a local distillery down where I live in Malahat Spirits. They're based here in San Diego, and they just came out with a brandy. I'm kind of stoked that a lot of these whiskey houses are tipping their toe into wine spirits.
Yeah, exactly, Drew. I think give it a couple more years. It's going to be on mixologists' radar. You're going to start seeing more and more cocktails made with brandy as their base spirit. So it'll be fun to see where it goes. But we're just having fun with ourselves, and we love it. We think it's delicious, and are having a great time with it. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we started out, you got your first bottle. I mean, you found your location. What was some of the challenges that you faced?
I don't know if we have enough time in this podcast to talk about all the challenges. Certainly starting a distillery is a high barrier to entry. It takes a lot of equipment. Starting a brewery you basically start a brewery and then develop the next steps after that with the still. With the barrels behind me, I'm sitting right in front of 400 barrels right now. So, wow. But certainly I'm not a silver spoon. I work my butt off and make sure every penny counts. And so certainly the investment that goes into it is a big challenge. Takes quite a bit of money. At Moonshine University, they said $2 million just to start a distillery. And at that point, I was like, no, they're wrong. And this was 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Now I'm like, yeah, they're right. They nailed it. If you want to dip your toe into it and have some fun, it's at least $2 million to do it right. So that's a big challenge. How you do that? I got an SBA loan, a local bank loan. I put my house on the line for it. So all that entrepreneur stuff.
Sure.
But overall, and Moonshine University also said that you have to have a story behind the brand.
Yes.
And at that point, I thought we had a good story, and now I think we have a great story. So we're named in honor of the 10th Mountain Army Division. They originated in our area in the 1940s. They were a mountain warfare specific Army Division in World War II. When they returned from the war, they started the sport of skiing and shared that with their friends and family, and started over 62 different ski resorts around the country. Vail Mountain being one of those ski resorts. Nike was actually founded by a 10th Mountain vet. A guy named Bill Bowerman was Phil Knight's business partner. Bill Bowerman was Phil Knight's track coach at University of Oregon. And so these guys and gals came back from the war and started the outdoor mountain lifestyle that we all love and enjoy today here in our hometown, certainly. And so when we were starting the distillery, we're like, well, what are we going to name it? And I'm like, well, what better name than to honor the 10th Mountain guys? And they're still one of the most deployed divisions today. They're based in upstate New York in Watertown and Fort Drum. And so we get a lot of support back from them. We get a lot of support from all military divisions. And in return, we do a lot of support, a lot of nonprofit, a lot of philanthropic work for those guys as well. So,
yeah, philanthropy is one of your it's one of your guiding principles at 10th Mountain.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Drew.
Talk to me about some of your philanthropic. Having
Sure.
trouble today. I need a whiskey.
Well, just last week, it's one of our most important events of the year. Is we get to attend the Vail Veterans Program. Their dinner at the last night of the week, and they take wounded vets from around the country. They have suffered single amputee, double amputee, triple amputee, sometime invisible wounds as well. And they take them into our hometown and teach them how to ski, how to snowboard, how to mountain bike in the summertime, play golf, given whatever kind of physical challenge they have sustained in the war.
Oh, wow.
And so it's something near and dear to our heart. It means a ton to us. We donate a barrel of whiskey a year to them. Always work with them throughout the year. The vets are invited down to our distillery to do a distillation run with us, to do a bottling run with us. And so that's just one of the ways that we love to support different military nonprofits. A couple years, last year and a half ago, we did a event with the 4th Infantry, and they dedicated a monument at Fort Benning, Georgia, in Columbus, and it was just meant so much to us. It meant a lot to those guys and gals. I could go on and on about the different military divisions that we support. Warriors in Whiskey. If anyone's listening, look up, and you're a veteran, look up Warriors in Whiskey. It's a great whiskey club that does a lot of good work with different vets. So we just did a barrel pick with them last week, and we're doing another barrel pick tomorrow on Saturday with Base Camp 40. So we do. I could go on and on about it, but yeah, it's really important to us. So
well, it's such great work. We're doing but you have to have sales in order to have philanthropy.
Drew, you're exactly right, man. You're exactly right. And, so that's a big part of it. We just want to do more and more, but at the same time, cash flow, supply demand balance is all very important. And we're growing. We need to add another barrel warehouse outside of our distillery here. Besides the barrels, all the barrels you see behind me are going to be in a barrel warehouse soon. So yeah, it's still a business. We're 15 employees. We're trying our butt off. But
that's some growth though over 10 years. As you bootstrap the distillery, there's something I always have to ask. You're dealing with an aged spirit. How do you sustain that time from we've opened up our doors, we've distilled our first barrel, but it's not ready to go to market?
Yeah, a couple of things going on there, Drew. First and foremost, we were legal in 2014 to distill.
Okay.
You can read between the lines on that, right? And so maybe we were distilling a little bit before we were actually fully licensed. But also whiskey and aged spirits will mature quicker in smaller casks, and a 5-gallon, a 10-gallon, a 30-gallon cask. And so early on, we were aging in the smaller cask. Now behind me, you see a bunch of 53-gallon casks. And so that's where we're aging in now because it's more cost effective. There's a lot of reasons for it. They're easier to move, et cetera, et cetera. But early on, we were at 5 and 10 and 30-gallon casks because there's more oak to the actual whiskey ratio. And so that's the way around it. And early on, we were proud of our spirit, but it was young. It was really young. And now we're getting a little more mature spirits that we're presenting in the bottle. But early on it was young, and we had vodka, and we had a unaged whiskey, which is our clear mountain moonshine.
Yep.
And we do a lot of different creative cocktails with those at our tasting rooms with different infusions, barrel aged cocktails and whatnot. And so early on, those helped us get to where we're at today. And we still have some bottles or some barrels lying down right now that are older than what we're releasing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to come here to enjoy them.
Yeah.
But it's a tricky part about it. And what I alluded to earlier was just the barriers of entry.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy your whiskey early on and create the brand. You can make it and wait. And we made it and started out with just a young whiskey at that point. So.
Yeah, I've actually developed quite a palate for the unaged old fashioned.
Yeah, Drew, you and I think a lot of other people out there actually. People are starting to get more and more educated on an unaged distillate and are starting to appreciate a moonshine, if you will, and are starting to appreciate some unaged spirits straight off the still. And I think maybe that's a category that's gonna grow in the next 10 years. We'll see.
Yeah, I would like to see it grow. So as far as growing your brand, so you're growing both through the 3-tier system and directly to consumers. Talk to me a little bit about the difference between that. And did you do D2C first, then 3-tier, or vice versa?
Kind of, kind of one and the same at the same time. So I've got a little bit of background in internet marketing. A lot of my close friends are big internet marketers in the health space, and I've done very well. And so I was starting a distillery, and they're like, "How are you going to sell direct to consumer?" And so early on, we were selling direct to consumer from our distillery. Although FedEx hated it, they didn't like it. They sent us a bunch of letters, and finally they cut us off. And so I apologized to FedEx, but I begged them to re-enlist our account. We said we won't do it again unless we have a liquor license in the shipment. So that's what we're doing now. But I always saw an opportunity to sell direct to consumer. What the wine business has done since 2004, I think 2006, somewhere in that area, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a big opportunity there for spirits, but we couldn't ship direct to consumer because of the tax regulations, and because high proof spirits are more taxed than lower proof spirits. As a wine, whatever the tax percentage cutoff is, 22%.
Yeah,
18%.
I don't have that exact down, but yeah, it jumps dramatically as you go over.
Yeah. So we got slapped by FedEx, and then we started working with a DTC company out of Washington, D.C. for a little bit, and then they sold, and then we started working with Speakeasy Co. out of San Diego, and Josh and Michael, they've been great. We've been growing together. They've been taking our advice. We've been taking their advice, and so our direct to consumer business right now is about 10% of our overall sales, which it's great, and we just want to continue to grow that. And as Michael and Josh and Speakeasy Co. Continue to grow themselves, they're about to maybe open up a warehouse on the East Coast, hopefully, and they're just getting bigger and bigger and understanding the space a lot more. And so God bless them.
Hell yeah, they were on our podcast. I know Josh a little bit, and they've got such a great business model. Tell, for the people that aren't familiar with Speakeasy Co. or the micro distillery that might be considering going directly consumer, what sets them apart?
Very important question, Drew. What they add value for us as a supplier, they provide the consumer's information for one. They give us a dashboard of our whole inventory of what they have on board at that point. They provide the opportunity, like if you go on 10thwhiskey.com right now and buy a bottle of our bourbon, it's all branded with 10th Mountain Whiskey. But Speakeasy fulfills on the back end. So they're our back end fulfiller. No one knows. It's not a secret, but it's not important either.
Yeah.
The fact that Speakeasy fulfills all of our online orders. And so they ship our spirits on our behalf. And they give us the opportunity to build a relationship with our consumers. And they don't take a whole lot of percentage to do so. They take a little bit because they have to run a business as well. But overall, they're the best fulfillment company out there as far as a distillery goes. And so it's been a great partnership, and we're just growing with them. So,
and that allows you to sell directly into 30 states.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sells to 30 states, and they're growing that number. Hopefully soon it's going to be 35 states. But so our 3-tier distribution, we're in 15 states right now. And then, but we can reach consumers. We're in a town where a lot of visitors come, a lot of vacationers come to come and ski, come and hike and have fun, mountain bike, whatever. And so they build a relationship with us. They learn our brand. They learn about our brand, but then they go home back to Texas or Florida or California or wherever and want to get our spirits, but maybe their local liquor store down the block doesn't have us, but they can go online and it'll be delivered to the door via Speakeasy in a couple of days. So,
well, that's fantastic. Now, I should have looked at this, but I didn't. But do you have a subscription club or some sort of a whiskey club?
We don't yet. It has been very high on our list. Just this week, actually, now we are with Shopify via Speakeasy, and now we are able to start doing that, and it's going to be something we're going to implement here this summer. So,
Well, that sounds fantastic. I mean, it's to get to limited barrel releases and stuff like
Exactly. Yeah. And along those lines, Drew, are you familiar with NFTs yet or no?
Yes. Well, I'm familiar. I wouldn't call myself an expert. Don't own one.
It's been a space I've been in for a while now. We're working. We had a Major League Baseball pitcher reach out to us. He's been in major leagues for 15 years. Ross Detweiler and his buddy Chris Kozier. The three of us are developing an NFT tasting club, and we're going to drop that in about 2 months from now. So
really, what platform will the NFT be on?
It's going to be it's Big League Taste is the name of it, and it's more than likely going to be on OpenSea and on Ethereum.
Okay, it's going to be fantastic. Yep. And what's can you give us a preview of what the NFT is going to be? It's a image.
Where you were going with that, Drew? It's special barrel picks is what it comes down to. Not only from our distillery, we're going to kick it off, but other friends within the business here in Colorado, around the country, and special barrel picks. So you're gonna have a unique NFT, and then also be privy to different barrel picks around the country. So it's gonna be a fun program.
Oh, that's fantastic! So you're actually selling a barrel through the
exactly. NFT. Yeah, we are. Where that's part of it. We're also going to do our own specific mash bill recipe, if you will. So we're going to see where the consumer's palate goes, where our members' palate go, and then develop a mash bill after that and see what happens. So we have 10,000 tokens that we're going to sell, and it's going to be a really fun program. So
I can't wait to see how that rolls out. The whole space is fascinating, and it
is.
Really, it's exciting to see the beverage industry move into that space and to see the different angles that people take. Because right now it's really it's an open. I mean, every idea can be the next biggest viable one. There's no real set way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly right. We started this about a year ago and been working on it ever since. But then I think Mondavi did a wine that was an NFT project. Just recently, a Scotch brand, off the top of my mind, I don't remember it, but a Scotch brand did an NFT project. And so you're starting to see it more and more just to add some value to specific barrel picks, specific bottles. And so we're going to try to innovate in that space a little bit and have some fun. So we'll see.
That sounds great. So there'll be a physical asset combined with a digital asset, and then the
exactly. And that's important to myself. There's a lot of NFTs out there that are just the digital asset.
Yeah, pixelated crypto.
Yay or nay, right? Yay or nay, whatever your flavor is. To me, it's important to add some physical asset behind it, some physical value. And so you're going to be able to drink our NFT is what it comes down to.
That's super, super innovative. And one of the ways that you're going to target directly to consumers, expand your reach. What other tactics are you looking at? Working. So, I guess the question is, what advice would you give the distillery working with Speakeasy? The pre-show we talked about a playbook you might have.
You're going to get some organic sales no matter what. If you're in Vail, if you're in Houston, Texas, if you're in Bozeman, Montana, wherever you're at, you're going to get some organic sales via your website. However, those organic sales are not going to pay for Speakeasy's fees. They have a business that you have to pay them a little bit. Understandable. And so in order to make it worth it, you have to have an advertising budget to give to Google, to give to Facebook, give to Instagram, Meta, whoever you want to call it, any other third-party platform out there. So I think it's important if you're going to sell direct to consumer, that you have a certain amount of money allocated to an online advertisement campaign. So I think at the bare minimum, it's $5,000.
$5,000. Sorry. Oh, so rather than a percentage of revenue, just make sure that you've got.
I think it's both. I think it's both. At the bare minimum, it's $5,000, and then after that, and sales drive a percentage of advertising in my book, and vice versa. So as long as you have your numbers in line, I think it's important. You have to monitor it on a daily basis, but it's a $5,000 minimum a month.
Per month, yeah.
Per month, yeah, right.
And that's something that I think few people realize. Tony Haber was on our podcast last week. Well, you haven't heard it yet 'cause it's not out yet, but he's does Q Vivo spirits in Miami. And he came up with, he's really grown quite a bit, and he's doing these unique Latin American, kind of Latin American mixed drinks canned. And his philosophy on marketing, it was quite shocking. He's plowing back 60% of his revenue into marketing, which was a number a little higher than I have seen.
Yeah, same, Drew. That's one of the benefits of what the industry that we're all in is that it takes $1 to make it, but then it takes $10 to sell it, right? So so that's good and bad. But it's certainly the marketing aspect of it is a huge part. And to have 60% of your overall bottle price, that doesn't surprise me necessarily, but we're not there. But it's we allocate part of our budget, a big part of our advertising budget, to online advertising, and it wouldn't work with Speakeasy otherwise. If we didn't have an ad budget, then we would not be with Speakeasy. So if you're going to go with Speakeasy, then you need a budget behind it.
They're not going to handle the marketing for you. You can't just stick it out there. Maybe you'll get one sale. That's so true. Unlike the 3-tier system, that you kind of have this assumption that you go into the distributor and they're going to help you a little bit with placements.
Well, that's the biggest assumption out there. As a new distiller, I talk to new distillers a couple times a month, probably once a week at this point. A distributor takes it from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is not to market it. Your job is to market it and make the sale, pass it on to the distributor to move it from point A to point B, their warehouse to the bar, restaurant, liquor store, and then to get to the end consumer to actually purchase it off. They've been buying Maker's Mark for 20 years, and all of a sudden they see 10th Mountain whiskey right next to Maker's Mark, and why do I want to pick up a bottle of 10th Mountain if I've been drinking Maker's for 20 years? And that comes down to educating them about our story and what we're all about. And so the distributor is in charge of taking it from A to B, and then it's the supplier's responsibility to market it and sell it. So
yeah, I think that's the big misconception that you just uncovered, that people think that they get into the system unless you're, a huge high-end, not huge, but a large production like Maker's Mark. They do have reps to help them with the positions, with the positioning of bottle. It's a micro or a small craft distillery. It's going to be very hard to get those shelf placements.
You need feet on the streets.
How do you go?
We're in Colorado Springs today. We're in Atlanta today. We're talking to bartenders. We're face to face tasting our spirits with them. So it's an everyday deal. So it's a huge part of it.
And do you see that the two overlap, or is it really two different marketing tactics between DDC and?
There's an overlap on a certain level for sure. Oftentimes when we're talking to a bartender, a liquor store rep, that a consumer's coming in and buying a product, and we get a chance to buy an old fashioned with our spirits at the bar. We get a chance to hand sell at the liquor store. So there's certainly some overlap. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's definitely it's the old boots on the ground is really what's going to sell 3-tier. And that's what Michael Houlihan hit when he started Barefoot Wines back in the day, just pounding the pavement. Yeah,
you have to. Absolutely.
So speaking about DDC and your 30 states, what's your vision for 10th Mountain over the next period of
5,
years?
10 years, whatever. We want to be national. We're in 15 states now at this point. Here in Colorado is our backyard, and we get a lot of sales here. But yeah, we want to be a national brand through Discus. Their program, we're looking to get international this year. Maybe in Australia, UK, Canada, we'll see. But yeah, overall, we have a big vision out there, and so we're working hard to get to it. So
as you scale, other than like property, plant, and equipment, larger stills, bigger warehouse space, what is the other inflection points that out for us?
Yeah, what we alluded to earlier is a feet on the street, right? And so I think that's going to be very important. I've got some people that have reached out to us, 10th Mountain vets in particular, that want to rep us around the country. And I think that's going to be very important to helping us grow. So right now we have 2 salespeople on the road. I think that's going to be 4, going to be 6, going to be 8 and 10 here soon enough. And so developing those relationships across the country is very important to us. We're going to add another still at our distillery. I could turn the camera around right now, and our still's right behind us here.
Yeah, what type of still do you have? I'd love to see.
Yeah, you want me to do a little turnaround here?
Yeah, turn around. I want to see this. Take it mobile. Oh yeah.
So
that's what would you call that's a pot still. 1 column. I can't see it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So that's it's a 500-gallon combination pot column still. From Vendome, from Louisville, Kentucky. They made that. And so, yeah, it's a 500-gallon combination pot column still, hybrid still, if you will. But to expand and continue, I think we're going to need a second still to continue the production at a rate that we're growing. So that's on our radar. It's in something we're budgeting for here now. So we'll see.
And how would you? So as far as you're preserving that house style, give me what would you describe 10th Mountain whiskey as? Your house style.
So we're very well known for our bourbon, which is 92 proof, and our rye is our most awarded spirit at 86 proof. Our bourbon is super easy drinking. Most of our team enjoys it on a rock as a nightly sipper. Our rye is a little spicier, 86 proof, a little more full bodied. Our rye has won a lot of different awards, recognitions. Was just won best in class of whiskeys of the world last year. So proud of that aspect. So it depends. People ask me, what's my favorite whiskey to drink? What's my favorite spirit? And it always depends on who I'm with, the environment I'm in. Yeah. It could be if I'm going to sit down at a business meeting for a business dinner, I'm going to have an old fashioned, a 10th Mountain Rye old fashioned. Or if I got a buddy in town, I'm going to pour a 10th Mountain bourbon on the rocks and kick with him till 1 a.m. in the morning and solve the world's problems, right? So it all just depends. But we're very proud of what we make. They're all extremely delicious. And we're going to keep on making as long as people keep on drinking it. So
that sounds good. So as we're kind of wrapping down here, tell me your new favorite cocktail.
You know, and I'm partial to, aside from present company, if you will. I'm partial what the Peerless guys are doing out in Louisville.
Oh yeah,
I love their rye. I love their bourbon. It makes a great old fashioned. So if I'm out and about and not drinking our spirits, then I'll give a nod to the Peerless guys and what Carson and Corky are doing out there. So
sounds good. What kind of bitters are you using in your old fashions?
Well, funny you asked this, Drew. We are currently making our own bitters. And I could walk 20 yards that way, and our bartender behind the bar is making our own bitters right now.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll we got a couple. We got a chocolate, we got an orange, we got a traditional bitter. So we'll see what we come up with here. But something we're working on right now, actually. So
I really think the bitters part of this set category is still very untapped. There's a lot of these little micro bitters, but really there's so many ways you can go with that.
Yeah, I agree, Drew. Exactly. And so Connor started working with us just about 6 weeks ago. And he has an amazing background mixology wise. And so we have started working on a bitters just about 4 weeks ago. And so it's something I get to go taste and play with after we're done with the podcast here today. So,
well, that sounds fantastic. Will those be available with the goal of being retail?
They're going to be available at our tasting rooms.
Okay. Yeah. That's a perfect little takeaway for someone that may not want to bring a full bottle home. Or
that's exactly right. You can pack it on your carry-on if you want. So absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Ryan, where can people find more about you in 10th Mountain?
Well, 10thwhiskey.com is our website. So 10th whiskey.com, whiskey with an E. Our social handles are 10th 10th MTN whiskey. So 10th Mountain Whiskey. Across all social channels. We're even on TikTok these days. So you can find us there. We're not doing a whole lot of dancing, but we're doing a whole lot of distillation. So come have fun with us online, and then come support us and hang out with us at our 2 tasting rooms here in the Vail Valley.
Sounds fantastic. I got to stop by. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.